Top 7 movies in South Africa. For South Africans, this is a drive through memory lane. And for visitors, we know that when people come to South Africa, they want to know about the culture, they want to know about the people, they want to know about the language. And because they sit in their apartments and have the luxury to watch things that are South African, there's TV available for them. Sometimes they want to see South African movies. So recent movies in South Africa are all over the place. You can find them on Netflix, you can find them on Showmax, but there are movies you just might not find there, and these are South African classics. There's not a lot of them. We can go through them very quickly, but they can help you get a feel of what South Africa is like. So for those who are excited to go through memory lane, and for those who want to know what's classical South African films, let's not waste any time and let's talk top 7 movies in South Africa. This video is sponsored by Joburg Pilgriimer. Number 1 on the list is Sarafina. Sarafina captures perfectly the apartheid era, the brutal nature, the vulgar language, the abuse, the imprisonment, everything. So if you want to go back in time, if you want to go back to that specific time in history, Sarafina is the movie for you. I mean, it hides nothing, it omits nothing, and it's such a classical theater. I mean, even theatrically, cinematically, it is a perfect and astounding movie. Sarafina is all about the segregation era. Oh man, it's such a heart-striking piece of art, piece of film, and it's one of South Africa's best. Honestly, there's more movies coming from South Africa, more and more, like every year. But this is one of those movies that just never ever dies. So if you want to go and watch something classically South African, Sarafina is the first thing to see. But most of you have already watched it. Nonetheless, it's the first mention for this list. Number 2 on the list is a movie called Tsotsi. If you are South African, you are probably catching feelings right now. This was one heck of a movie back in the day, man. It was just so... It had the country quiet. I don't know about the communities of other races, but for the black communities, this just had us quiet. It was one movie about, you're gonna see a lot of this, but a movie about a likable gangster, a likable thug from the small towns, small communities, who also had a cause. He had something to fight for, and he was almost invincible. He could never get caught. He won the hearts of South Africans at the time. He was short, as you can see him, and he was sometimes mean, but for some reason he made it charming. I don't really know what it was about the film, but I mean, movies back at that time were just so touching, and this is one of them. It's a movie called Tsotsi. Tsotsi means thug, and he was a thug. He was doing what thugs do, but he was epic. The movie was epic, and you can go and watch it yourself. and see what it makes you feel. Number 2 on the list is simply Tsotsi. Number 3, we have Jerusalema. Once again, this is a movie about thugs. Like I said, you're gonna see quite a few of them. But man, I hope some of you can catch the feeling of the movies as you're watching these highlights. The movies had something about them. Yes, they be about thugs sometimes, but as you know, South Africa's history, the African neighborhoods were sort of like separated or excluded from the cities and from where the economy is happening, and they had to get in by force. So if you could succeed in doing that and bring something back to the community, you're almost like a neighborhood hero. But that's besides the point. Not to condone such a thing. But the movies themselves, the story, the narration, the progression, just amazing. They were shot raw, very authentic, and they captured the emotion just as we have it. But another very touching and awesome movie is Jerusalema. It is very intense, it is very heartfelt, full of emotion, just like movies should make us feel. If you want to watch something authentically South African, Jerusalema is the movie for you. Next, we have Happiness is a 4-letter word. Now, this movie is actually exciting to talk about. It's one of those first few movies that I saw in South Africa when camera quality was getting better, acting was getting exceedingly better, economy was booming, and so many things were going so well for the whole nation. As you can see, South Africans were popping, or glowing up. But it's a movie about love, It's a movie about love and career. Girls who are best friends but have successful careers, good and great careers and houses, but they are struggling so much in their relationships. I know you probably had the story told quite a few times in Hollywood, but my goodness, who's this woman? These women, all of them, I just enjoyed watching them, and also knowing them from South Africa. This guy was an artist. He's just one of the best, parts of this film. But everything about this film is just amazing. But this is just, if you want to watch something that is, modern, a modern film, a modern South African film, and is also epic at the same time. Happiness is a 4-letter word. Is the perfect movie for you. Some of you just came from other countries and are actually falling in love in South Africa. I think this just would boost the emotion. It also has a part 2. Actually, I was trying to make a movie one time, and I emailed, was it the writer of it or the producer of this movie, and she couldn't help me. She couldn't work with me because she was busy writing or producing part 2 of this movie. So it's not only awesome, but it's got 2 parts. If you want something modern, still South African, and I can safely say, confidently say, authentically South African, but also classic and also entertaining, Happiness is a 4-letter word. It's a movie for you. Next, we have White Wedding, and I am so glad I'm making this video. I wasn't gonna make it, but it's bringing back memories. I was in high school when I saw this. I think it was a year old, by the time, about 13 years ago, I can't remember. No, or maybe about 10 years ago, I don't remember. But it was such an awesome film, man. It's got two of the best actors we had at the time, and they were crazy. These guys were traveling from, I think it's Johannesburg to Cape Town to meet one friend's love of his life, and along the journey, all the crazy just came out. I mean, all of it until they got to their destination. So it's about love, but you could argue that it's also about friendship. I mean, along the road, so much came out. It reminds me of Harold and Kumar to some extent, but it's a funny, amazing, exciting movie in South Africa. Looks almost modern, but yeah, it was shot around the time when things were just changing, not only for movies, but for music and music video in the country. If you want to laugh so much and enjoy the spirit of South Africa in a film, White Wedding is honestly another suggestion and excellent recommendation. White Wedding, number 5 on our list. Number 6 is a movie called How to Steal 2 Million. Like I mentioned earlier, you're gonna see quite a few of these where there's gangsters in the mix, and honestly, now that I think about it, I just remembered a couple other thug and gangster movies in my mind. Some that really never really popped, never really blew up, but they still thug movies. This one is another thug movie about money that was involved and the gangsters that were involved, and it involves one of the greatest actors at the time, one of the guys who was on the previous movie we talked about, White Wedding. And it also has this gangster chick who, when this thug was trying to show off his skill and his thing, he actually discovered that she's also tough herself. She brought the thing on. On number 6, it's another exciting and enticing movie called How to Steal 2 Million. And as you can see by the quality, it was shot when things were still just starting out in South Africa. Well, they were already, in the journey, but I mean, the spirit and the atmosphere was still recent post-colonization era. And the stories were just, township stories. How to Steal 2 Million on number 6 on our list. So, I never really saw this movie myself at the time back when it came up. Now this one is rather old. I was really young, and I was from a family where my mother went to church. She was not big on DVDs and VCRs, so we never had that. So this is one of the movies I never got the opportunity to be invited at a friend's house to go and watch. But I remember when it first came out and the kids were talking in the streets, Highjack Stories. Honestly, I can see by the movie style, and already I know the movies that were coming out at the time. I knew they were just sick stuff. Simply said, they were just sick stuff. And this is one of them. It is Highjack Stories, rather a gangster movie. Very entertaining, very exciting, and it was made with what they had at the time. As you can see, it was shot in the townships back when the townships were not even necessarily very developed. But the acting, the story, the vibe of the film, the emotion, the cinema of it, South Africans, vintage South African cinema. It was right there, and looking at it, it reminds me kind of that Friday movie by the guy from Compton, what's his name? The rapper, kind of forgot his name, but is well known. Not only does the style remind me of that, but knowing how movies were like in South Africa at the time, I just know this is also another hit. So, coming up at number 7 is Highjack Stories. If you want to feel South African, this is a movie to watch. And just remember, Joburg Pilgriimer is an online platform where you can find all the things to see and do while you are in Joburg. You can find museums to visit, and where they are, you can even inquire with them. Booking your visits, you can see galleries, you can see hotels, Airbnbs, restaurants, and business services. Also, people's favorite is outdoors adventures. You can also find that there. These are establishments, experiences, and things to do and see that are in Johannesburg. So this video is sponsored by Joburg Pilgriimer. The platform is for locals and visitors. If you want if you want like to plan your weekends or your holidays within Johannesburg, remember to use this resource. So before I end the video, I just want to make sure that I bring up the honorable mention of this list. Of course, Mr. Bones. Some of you may have heard of him. South Africans definitely have heard of him. It's worth mentioning. It was one of the biggest movie franchises in South Africa. It is by this white guy who incorporates black culture very well. Shares very many jokes, and it's very humorous and features a lot of American actors. So Mr. Bones is well worth the mention. Also, I have to mention that I haven't been checking the recent movie scene, and obviously there's got to be a lot of them now, but they are on Netflix for sure, Showmax, and things like this. Also, most of these movies, or all of them that I mentioned, are definitely on YouTube. You can watch them for free. And that's the list that I had for us. It's the movies that you can enjoy that are authentically and excitingly South African. So enjoy the movies and enjoy whatever it is that you will be doing. From us, good luck and warm regards.